That's one of the things organizations like NAMI help to do, and I think
Sure.
that's something you could talk a little bit about.
Sure. So NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, there's chapters all over, and San Diego is fortunate to have probably the largest one in the whole country. And we started in the late 1970s. Many of the NAMIs started then, and we were founded by parents around a table like this, a kitchen table. And the only thing that they had in common, and the only thing that they could use the table to talk about, was having an adult child who lived with schizophrenia. And at that time, certainly bad parenting was one of the reasons why people developed schizophrenia, which is not, but it was a common thought at the time. So being able to talk to peers about what was happening provided amazing support. And NAMI is known for that as well. So we do a lot of signature programs, education programs. And there are two communities, three basically, but there's the family community, the loved ones, the people who are surrounding individuals who are living with a mental health challenge, condition, crisis, what have you. It's everybody around them, and then there's the individual themselves. So we call people who live with a mental health challenge, well, we call them people, we call them peers, so people who have a mental health challenge. And then family is everybody that surrounds them. So there are specific tools, information, there's specific supports for each population. And from a family perspective, having people understand that there are options, that we can hold hope for the people that we love until they can find it themselves. But in order to get there, as a parent, as a family member, I have to understand, what is it that we're dealing with? And a lot of people think that mental health, it's a character flaw, they're not praying hard enough, it's from all different reasons, right? And it's a biological brain disorder. And that's what we teach. And we teach that there are ways to live very fulfilling lives, to figure out how that dance between medication, if that's what somebody chooses, or therapy, or a combination of those, and integrating back into, or integrating for the first time into society, right? So in order to provide that support as a family member, I have to understand what mental health is, I have to understand what mental wellness is, and I have to understand what my role is and what my role isn't. And that's really difficult for people, because it's a trauma. It's a trauma for the individual and for the people that care about them. And it's also not, and you know this really well, it's not a casserole illness, right? So when my wife had ovarian cancer, our faith community, oh man, you want your dog walked, we'll do your laundry, we'll pick up, we'll do anything for you. And it was really, really, really helpful, right? But when my son experienced his first episode of psychosis, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. And to be fair, I perhaps wasn't as forthcoming, because if you say the C word, the cancer, you've got people dancing for you. But if you say the P word, psychosis, you don't have that, and trying to figure out how to navigate that yourself. So getting families to the place, getting parents to the place to understand there is treatment, it works for most people, there's lots of possibilities, and there's hope. So we give that little bit of, that little inkling to people so they can realize, number one, they're not alone. They're not. But people don't talk about this. They're terrified to talk about this. And then you move into suicide and suicidality and people feeling that there's absolutely no hope. People get really scared. And they might have a plan, they might have the means, and they're not going to tell you. They're just not. And to make the space where it's okay to talk, where there's no judgment, where it's safe to talk, that's so important. And that's why stuff like this is great.